Alright, on to the next project. I did kind of a half a project today. This video will probably post before that one did. On a really cool little alarm clock that I got to order a spring for. So now I am on to my next project. So you see it here. It is a very beautiful alarm clock. It has the, I don't have my eyeballs on, FLS, FM, I don't know. Anyway, it's got, it's got the bird with the 3 initials underneath there. So this was a gift from a friend that I was very excited to get because the post office decided they liked it too, and they didn't bother to send it this way until they had had it about 3 weeks. So anyway, the eagle with the FMS in the little shield or medallion or whatever is underneath that little eagle is for Friedrich Mauthe and Son, which they started using this emblem 1925 when the grandchildren took over the company. This clock is in fantastic shape. It's going to clean up really good. The nickel plating is intact. The movement looks really good. There's a few parts missing. This doesn't attach to anything. This little worm screw, the wheel that goes on here is gone. So you've got your music box side. Everything is working except nothing actually touches this worm screw. There's a thing that's supposed to be right there. The good news, and also this is how it came. So I didn't take it all apart, but it is all apart. So that saves me a little time. Got the back door, got the key holder on the door. The door's gonna be really nice cleaned up. The sides have their glass in them. And the front has a nice glass. And then I have all these miscellaneous parts. So, Mark likes to give me a challenge. He gave me this puzzle for a Christmas present. I'm going to be looking for a 32 tooth comb. Right now it still sounds pretty, but it's missing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teeth. So anything in this high range, it's not able to play. I do have the hands. It was wound in shipping, and as the hairspring was in there, I don't know if it was broken or not, or broken in shipping, but the balance wheel, come on brain, the thing that holds the balance wheel, that stick there, has the little notch cut out in it to let the little fork go back and forth on it, and it broke at that point where it was filed smaller. So both pieces were there, and I thought I might have to make a new one, but when it would joggle in shipping, it would let this advance, like the teeth on the verge pallet pins were bent, and it would let it unwind rapidly for a short period until one of them caught again, which is probably what bent them. And so that would let the hands move. So they were jammed up together on the under the alarm, and one of them broke. So I've got I took them off. I've got the minute hand, but the hour hand broke off of its little mounting. And I've got to glue the little base back together so that it's got good resonating sound. But here's the exciting part. A couple of videos ago I bought a parts movement to fix the the clock Eugene gave me to get the springs off of it, and it is the same movement. So I have a balance wheel with a hairspring I can put in there, and this is what was missing on the other one. It's a little rubber kind of wheel, some kind of plasticky, rubbery, paper mache. I don't know what it's made out of, but obviously degradable. So any parts that I might need when I start getting this apart, I have spare parts. That's exciting, yay! And the good news is the springs on this one are in good shape, so I don't have to worry about that. So let's get started. So I'm going to use some wood glue and start on the base first, because I'm going to glue it together in stages. I'm going to glue the largest piece back to the largest piece and work on getting these three back as one piece and then attach them as one piece. That should give me the best results than trying to glue it all and clamp it and it all go everywhere. Alright, let me get a clamp on that and wipe off the extra glue. The best way to clamp it I found was a rubber band, because if I put my clamp on here, it wants to bow in half. So this puts pressure, a light pressure, and then I can put something on it to keep it from popping up, and that should keep it flat. And I'm going to set it to the side to dry and do these other three the same way. So I got a little glue on there, made sure it was flat, lined up good, wrapped it with the rubber band, and now I'll set this one aside to dry for a little bit. When it's dry, I'll put the next piece on there. And then we'll be ready to put the last piece on the big piece. So we need to take the movement off of the base. All the music box and wooden platform and all that stuff's already out of the way. Got good little feet. Now, before I take these things off the back and pry on things, I'm going to try to get this hands off the front so I can remove this front plate. It's bent over. It's exactly like this one that came with that spare movement I bought. The little feet come up and then bend the tips over to hold the plate on. So there's not going to be many times they can be unbent and rebent. So I want to protect this paper face. See if I can lift off the alarm hand. Or no, this is the second hand. It's coming off pretty good. It's just a, I got glue all over my fingers. It's a push on, it's split at the bottom. As you push it on, it gets tighter. Let's see how this one's going to do. It's really low down to the paper. And it's been pushed really tight because you can see it's been rubbing on the paper. And I made a hole in the paper. That's not what you want to do. There we go. Nice little hand. Okay, one side is straightened. There's only 3. The 4th one would be in the spring here, so there's only 3 that you have to straighten to get the face off. The 3rd one is at the top. Alright, so we got our movement ready to work on. And we didn't do too bad on the face. Even down to the little washer, it's the same. Except this one, this is my spare movement. You can see that when they took the alarm off, they broke the base of it. Okay. Let's get these hands off. Dials. They push on. There's no... It's a split base also. So they're going to push on. This one unscrews. It's got threads. It should have a little pin holding it on. Okie doke. Let me get a parts bucket and we'll get these unscrewed. I'm gonna start on the front side of this first. These are wound down all the way against here, so I'm gonna not put anything on them. And I'm gonna see if I can get this off because I have had trouble in the past getting this one gear to turn loose. And it still doesn't want to turn loose. clock I worked on before, since I couldn't get that off, I couldn't get the plates apart all the way. This one looks like it should just slide. No, it's got that on the other side of it, so it's not going to slide through the hole. I don't know how they put that on, but it really doesn't like to come off. Alright, I'm going to go on from there. This is the little alarm lever. As that turns around, there's a little cutout right here. It drops off. There's a little ramp that it raises up, comes back around. When that pin gets to right there and drops off, it lets this come forward and lets your music play, lets your fan turn. When it's down, it shouldn't be able to turn, but whatever this goes against is not there, so it's still turning even when it's pushed down all the way. But we'll get it fixed. Alright, so this one is good. We've got to get that little guy off of there. This is just a washer that they put a little notch out on that side and then cut that V on that side, so when they crimped it together it made like a little E-clip. And so these should be ready to come off if I remember right. That's ready and that's ready, but what's holding this? There we go. Somebody took a lot of time putting little pin marks around in a swirl to hold that onto there. When this comes off, there should be a washer under it. Or in this case, it's got a little raised piece instead of a separate washer. I'm going to try to get under those, under this, and take it off so I can take the movement apart. Let's take the fan off. Okay, well that's different. It's not gonna come off that way. It's gotta come off of there. Okay, so this, because this little rubber piece isn't on there, this is what gets held to stop the alarm. When that's pushed in, it goes around and it hits on there, stops your music from playing. But since it wasn't turning, okay, well, I guess that comes off when you get this apart. I am going to take that little piece off and then I'll flip it over and we'll... Maybe, yeah, I do have to. This has to come off because otherwise you cannot get your springs out. This goes down to this with the wheel with the tensioner on it. Makes your hands turn, and it's big and it covers up your springs. You won't be able to get them out of the case. So I am going to take that off. I got my, so these are bent screwdrivers. One is a lot longer. This one looks like it got broken off when they bent it, or it was broken so they used it to bend it, or it's been broken off while they used it as a pry bar, but this one's a lot thicker. This one comes more to a point. So I was able to get the tip of it under, tap it with my hammer, get it up under there, and start lifting. So then with equal pressure on both sides, it slides up pretty good. Now I'm ready to take this side apart.
Okay.
It is wedged in there.
I can get $37.95.
Alright, so that one does not have to come off. There's a little pin holding it on the back side and it'll slide through. But it usually hangs up a little bit. That's what this little drop-off one goes on, with a hole through it for a pin. Alright, so how are we going to get that off of there? I don't know. Let me set everything back in the holes and get a picture or two. Okay, so I'm just going to start taking this apart. That's my time sign. This is my music box side. I'll clean that good. And this has a little bit of a barrel, so I can lift and start unwinding it from the barrel. And the middle came out. This one is a little bit different. This one is blued, so one of them's been replaced already. I don't see any way to get this off of here. The one I worked with before had a screw on the end. This has a rivet holding the little dust cover on. And it does not slide through the hole because the worm screw is bigger right there. So I think I would have to torque on it and get it past these bars somehow, and I'm not willing to do that. So it might just go through the ultrasound all together still. So I think we are about ready to go there. This one is broken. It should be attached right there. They just did similar to these. It's a straight piece, and then they put it through the hole and then tapped it flat on the back side. So once it breaks off, there's not much you can do. Wood repair's coming along good. I got the bigger piece glued to the main piece. I got the two little pieces glued together. Now I'm putting them on the main piece, clamping it, and I'm just waiting for this to dry and put the last piece on, so my bottom plate will be back together again. And I was looking at some things when I took it apart. This is the strike side of the music box, and it had a dark spot, so I was looking at it, and it's got some solder on there. It's got a broken tooth that's been soldered a little bit. You can't see that at all. So I've got a little darkened spot from heat on this brass. Caught my attention. And some solder on this side, and if you look at it under the magnifying glass, this tooth has been reset. It's pretty close to being in the right spot. It's set a little bit off. It's a little bit crooked and a little bit pushed down. So I've decided to take the other one apart and just use the best parts out of both of them and build one good movement. So this is the other one. Here's my balance spring I'm going to use, my hairspring, and that's that little red rubber piece on there that had broken off of the other one. I guess it's red rubber. I mean, it might be brass dipped in something, I don't know, but it's kind of funky looking. And this is that wheel that's got the tooth that's bent on the other one, so I can switch them out. So the last piece dried overnight. I think it's going to come out pretty nice. Kind of glued my things to it. There we go. Alright, so now we have a bottom plate again. Looking pretty good. Alright, I'm off to clean all those parts in the ultrasound. Case parts came out pretty well. One thing I didn't mention in other videos I've made about these kind of clocks is these screws that go into the top plate, hold the top and bottom plate together. They're just basically like a 8-penny nail that's very long. They put threads on it and they snip the ends off. So they're pretty rough on the ends. It's hard to get your screws started sometimes with spurs on there. So I always take extra time to clean these too. Clean all the threads out real good with the mother's polish. I've put them through the ultrasonic cleaner already, but they will still be dirty, all in the threads. So the more time you spend on these little threads, the less time you'll spend when you're trying to put the base back together. Because it won't be trying to cross thread and strip on you. The only thing that's holding it in here is this little head. It spins all around when you're trying to put the nut on, trying to tighten it up. The whole thing's turning, so if you've got your threads clean, it really helps. And I will take a file and file off these edges where they've put it together and then cut the ends off, just to make it a little bit easier at the end. Alright, so that goes on there. This holds it. This is the top of the clock. There's a front and a back to this. You'll see this design. It's this inset piece is closer to this side. This side's got a lip on it. So this is going to be for your front panel, side panels, and this is for the back door where it's not recessed. So I'm going to put the little bit of damage that's in the nickel to the back so it's not as noticeable. And get your screws in, get them started, put your handle back on. So you've got it kind of loose still. You put it in one, and find the other one, and as you turn it, it'll tighten up. You can get it back in there, finish tightening your nuts. I like to tighten this enough that I can have it kind of stand up if I want to. If it's too loose when you drop it, it'll start leaving a wear pattern on your top of your clock. So it's a little tricky getting all the little pieces in. It's still loose some, as you can tell. I haven't tightened it all the way yet. Pull up on these, snug these down. These screws, nuts on these screws are the only thing that's going to keep it from spinning round and round when you go to put your bottom plate on. So get them snug. Don't get them to the point of it's putting pressure on the glass and bowing the rods, but get them pretty snug. So I'm happy with the case. Came out really good. Everything's working like it should. Last little piece on the board. I glued every little piece back in this gap I could find to flatten it out some. And that glue will make that a little stronger. So now I am ready to start building this clock back. I've got two of everything, bottoms, tops, strike side, time side. So I'm going to go through and pick the best of each one. I'm going to keep the one that's blued because it's fancier than the one that's not. Whichever gear is in better shape, I'm going to use. Most of them are in better shape that were originally with the clock, but some I'm going to switch out. That one is not in as good a shape. So I'm going to go through each piece and pick the best. So I was able to get two intact little partial barrel spring protection thingies. Each one of these backs had a broken one, but they were on opposite sides, so that was the good part. So I was able to get this whole one off, put it on here. If you turn them over on the back side, they've just been punched through and then tapped flat to hold it. So I took my punch that's kind of like a small screwdriver that was a flat blade and got under it, raised it up, got under it, raised it up, tapped it straight down, and was able to pull it out. And then put it, so then you got a straight piece on there. You can put it back in the hole. Tap it in if you need to, because there are little bits of spurs on there. So get it down through the hole, flip it over, take another punch that's shaped like a ball peen hammer and tap it, and it'll mushroom out the top of it, hold it on there. So I now have a nice solid spring holder. And these are the first two to go on. I'm going to use my pivot oil these springs and put them on first, because this has to go on top of it. I get super far putting my parts in. Imagine that, a dog hair. This side went on no problem. I just slipped this on, put this here, turned it with the key, and wound and slid the different rings until it was inside this little side piece. And this one I didn't have as much luck with. You know, this was attached over here. It's not anymore, but it's not broken. It just pulled back through the hole. I need to put it back through there, tap the end again, and I'm going to put some of that JB Weld or liquid rent, whatever the welding liquid stuff is, to make sure that it stays in there. It was like so on this other frame over here, and if I can get it to sit there for a second, the end of this one is kind of curved up and out, and this one's straight up and down, and the other one was shaped the same way. It was kind of bent up and out, so I left it that way. And when I did get the spring all the way inside of this, but it let it where it was bent up and out. The spring would raise up. It wasn't staying flush against the bottom of the plate. And it didn't hold it when I let go. And also, this click was not doing reliably what it needed to, which is probably what busted the side out in the first place. There's an issue with the click on here. The spring holding the click. The click looks fine. The click is still pointed. It's going down in there. The spring is not holding it down into place. So, luckily, I have an example of what it should look like. And it's definitely been bent around. You'll see the flat part of this is on the end of that click. This one is bent more this way. The flat part is, the pressure point is way back here, midway. You want it more, I hope y'all can see that. This one is bent with a little flange, and the little tip of it's pushing right on the end of the click to keep it down in there. This one someone had bent, and it's a lot more rounded, and it's ending way back here. And it holds sometimes, but not all the time. Sometimes I can still turn it backwards, which is a disaster waiting to happen. So I'm going to have to bend this spring where the tip of this meets more toward the tip of the click to hold it more securely. This click's never going to come out. The most pressure on the spring is right where it needs to be. This one, it's clear back here just about where it's riveted on. So anyway, we're going for round 2 here. See who wins this round. And I didn't talk about this, but let me get this off and show you. After I cleaned it, I went over it. See how nice and shiny it is? This is the Keystone mainspring lubricant on a Q-tip. It puts a nice uniform layer on there. It stays on there. It doesn't drip. It doesn't run. I mean, it will drip if you got it on a toothpick and it's a big blob and it'll drip down on there. But then when it drips on, like I've tried to use it with a spring all coiled up before, and you put a drop on there and it just kind of sits there on the top. And a little bit runs down through. But it's really made to stay where you put it. So I've been messing with it on different springs to see what I like the best. And I found with the spring open, Q-tip dipped in that, run it around there, you get a nice layer that's not going anywhere for a long, long time. I wish I could get it to stay on camera. I'm dyslexic today. I keep going the wrong direction. Anyway, back to this little guy. So this one end is still secured. This has got to be some kind of lead-based metal because it's easy to bend with your fingers. And I really don't want to break my connection off. I'm going to get it back in there. I'm going to tap that in some more and put some of that liquid weld. So while I was adjusting, I already adjusted this one too to match more like this. You want the tip against the click. If you grab the tip and try to do it, you're going to have to lift it up and bend it where you want, put it back down. Then it's going to want to raise up and not stay against there. So the best place to grab it is back here. And that's why you see that little notch in there and then that little swing down right there. So that's what there's a little bit of one there. I'm grabbing it at the same spot. I'm going to bend it back and down. And I bent it up in the air. Okay. Trying to turn it at an angle for y'all to see, and now it's bent up in the air. But anyway, it's going to be down against there when I'm done. I'll back up as much as I need to get pressure where I want it. That's much tighter against the click. Okay, more of that. This is probably why this one came off. It's pretty hard to get to with this wheel in the way. I had to work down through the wheel to tap that one. When you pick what you're going to hit with, you want the little rounded ones, like a ball peen hammer. Dang it. I've got to get my left, right, forward, backward down today. Ball peen hammer. Whole point of it is to flatten mushroom out things when you hit it. Flat surface is not going to do it as good as the ball peen. The ball peen's going to mushroom out and bring pieces out. So that's why I'm picking this type of little staking piece to use. And I'm still putting the glue. And then I'm going to bend this surface where it's straight up and down because it's trying to flare out a little bit. That's what gave me the problem with it wanting to unwind. So in putting this spring back in, this top part broke. The little end was still in the space down here, but the metal broke off from the little tail piece. So I put some of this thread locker on there, both places, just to reinforce. And I went ahead and did this other side too, just to reinforce it, because it gets a lot of pressure on it, and it's not a very good metal that they made these out of. These, a lot of the clocks I've found are broken and gone. So I used a blue thread locker because it can be removed with different tools. The red thread locker, you have to heat it to some high temperature to make it break. So if at some point I needed to get it off, I could get it off without having to heat it up. But now I gotta let this sit for 24 hours and get strong. So I'm just catching up on my videos. There's some I really like. Some channels I really like. Mark's channel's one of them. I watch his videos all the time. This is one of his latest ones about this wooden shield clock. If you haven't checked out his channel, check it out. He's really good at explaining stuff. And I promote him and Just Mike's channels at the end of my videos because I really enjoy watching theirs and learning from them. So check them out when you're waiting for your parts to dry and do stuff. And subscribe to their channels.